Hey guys, thank you for tuning in today, and I hope that you are all well. This video today, this was like a series that I did last year, and for whatever reason I stopped doing it. I don't quite know why, but nonetheless, here we are, right? So what we're going to be discussing today are my most worn fragrances for the months of February and March. Now, those particular 2 months, February and March, they were really cold here. So to give you an idea what really cold is like, it was anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees maximum during those 2 months. Those were the average temperatures then. So you're going to see kind of a, theme where it's geared toward more cooler weather fragrances. I just wanted to let you know that because we are in springtime right now as I'm recording this video. But anyway, what I would like to talk about today, there's 10 fragrances in total, so I'm going to separate them. Talk about the first 5, which is the ones that I wore the most into the office for the months of February and March. And then the next half of fragrances, so the last 5 that I'll speak of, are ones that I wore on my casual, days off or even romantic settings, dates with my girlfriend. So let's get into the list. This is going to be a great video. Stay tuned. Just to give you a bit of background quickly, and then we'll dive into the fragrances, of course. But how I came to this conclusion was simple. These were fragrances that I saw on my rotation table, and I noticed, you know what? I wore those fragrances quite a bit during those really cold months of February and March. And now, as I'm doing a bit of spring cleaning, I'm moving these cooler weather appropriate, I guess we could say, fragrances to the back of my collection. I'm bringing forth more fragrances that are geared toward this type of weather because we are in spring now as I'm recording this video. So I'm bringing fresher fragrances out, putting these fragrances toward the back. And I said, you know what? I wore these fragrances quite a bit over the past couple of months. Let me go ahead and talk about them. And let's start here with the first fragrance from the office portion of this list. Comes to us from Authenticity Perfumes. This is Barber Shop. What this is, simply put, is an amazing barbershop fragrance with something maybe you're not too familiar with, because when we think of the traditional style of barbershop fragrances, oftentimes we could think of things that are very thick and heavy and dense, even powdery, sometimes can have like a vanillic or talcum powder feel to them. Not the case here. This is quite the departure from the barbershops that I had just described. So this is very fresh, clean, masculine. It smells like a well-groomed gentleman. Matter of fact, like fresh out of the barbershop is kind of the smell that I get here. And in fact, that's what it reminds me of. So if you could picture sitting in your barber's chair, he's finishing up the straight razor shave, cleaning up the back of your neckline here. And he's getting ready to apply that aftershave tonic. That's what it smells like, an aftershave tonic to me. That's kind of what it smells like. But yeah, again, just very crisp and clean smelling. Some notes that you can expect to detect here are bergamot, definitely some lemon here. You have a bit of a sweet basil, but it's more just a fresh aromatic smell. And you have oak moss, of course, here, but nothing too green. This is more of kind of like an herbaceous, aromatic, just fresh, clean smell. I know I keep saying that, but that's literally, it just smells fresh and clean. It's a great smelling barbershop fragrance that is definitely one, if you are a fan of barbershop fragrances, you should definitely consider trying this one. Get yourself a sample, and they are very affordable. High quality too, I might add. But yeah, that's Barbershop from Authenticity Perfumes. Next up, you'll see a bit of a theme here. So this comes to us from the brand Naughton Wilson, and this is Chypre Fulminare. This is an awesome fragrance. Definitely harkens back to the fragrances of yesteryear. So if you're familiar with 70s and 80s powerhouses, or maybe you're just familiar with that term, 70s and 80s powerhouses, that's what this fragrance kind of is. So if you are familiar with fragrances like Guerlain's Heritage, or you're familiar with, let's say, Dior, their Sauvage Parfum. Sorry, I'm having trouble collecting my thoughts here. But if you're familiar with those two fragrances, not that those smell exactly like this, or not like this smells like those, just to give you a point of reference is all I'm trying to do here for this particular fragrance. So this one contains notes, and of course, I'm just giving you an idea with these notes. I'm not listing every single note that's in there, but you can expect to be greeted with a kind of this citrus melody up top. You're also going to get some spiciness coming from pepper. You have incense here that adds a very nice, lightly smoky facet, I would say, because it's not overly present here. You do have leather and labdanum, and that leather I want to touch on because there's a bit of an animalic tendency I find the dry down with this fragrance. So it could be coming from the leather, or maybe it's both intertwining, the leather and the castoreum kind of combining with each other to give us a slight animalic feel. You're also going to notice some oak moss here. You're going to notice a vetiver as well. Just a beautiful, and you know, I want to add, there's a bit of a barbershop feel here too, I find. Now that could be my mind playing tricks on me, or that could be just the actual composition itself. But fresh, clean, again, very gentlemanly. It is a bit on the dark side, I will say, for a chypre. It is a bit on the dark side. I wouldn't quite call it mysterious. I just will call it dark and kind of leave it at that. But it's very earthy, woody. It's just a very classic smell, and it's, you know, not dated or mature, but just a very classic smell, and one that will definitely garner you some attention. You are going to smell fantastic while wearing this stuff, and if you can get yourself a sample or a decant, I suggest you do so. It is, in my opinion, right now, this along with Gravitas, the you know, Naughton Wilson's Gravitas, these two fragrances are my two favorites now, and I'm slightly enjoying Chypre Fulminare a little bit more. So I do also have in front of me here Gravitas Essentia. Is that what it's called? Yes. And we'll be doing an unboxing of that fragrance too to give you my my initial impressions on that. But yeah, for now, Chypre Fulminare, great one from Naughton Wilson. Moving on next to a fragrance house and a fragrance that I absolutely adore. This is called Dorian's Fougere, and this is from the brand Darren Allen Perfumes. Now, Dorian's Fougere blew me away. It was a love at first sniff. I bought this the day it was launched, and I knew that I was going to fall in love with it because I'm familiar with Darren Allen's style. Now, he has a way of kind of fusing modern elements along with his kind of, I want to say, like classic style perfumery. That is his influence. That is his background, classic traditional perfumery. But I feel like he kind of fuses these modern elements within his perfumery to kind of just create these magical potions of compositions. They are quite incredible. And if you guys are looking for a new house to dive into, definitely worth exploring the house of Darren Allen Perfumes as I have. Now, this Dorian's Fougere, along with his Chypre number 1, are my two favorites from the house. I absolutely love them. But Dorian's Fougere contains this note of spike lavender, which does come across a bit soapy, so it has like this barbershop sort of quality to it. You're also going to find things like bergamot and mastic leaf. There's hay absolute and jasmine absolute. So obviously, if you know perfumery, you know these are very high quality ingredients, and that's what this smells like. And you, my friend, are going to smell like a dapper smelling gentleman, because I know when I wear this fragrance, that is exactly when I leave my house in my suit and tie for work. I know that that is, you know, what I smell like. Just a dapper, well-dressed human being. But nonetheless, yeah, I love this fragrance. Matter of fact, it is slowly becoming one of my favorite Fougeres in my Fougere collection. And I do have about 15 or 16 Fougeres now with this included. And yeah, I absolutely love it. And listen, if you are one that has like 10 or more fragrances in your collection, you now have a large collection. And these 10 milliliter decants, now he also has like 50 milliliter full bottles and also samples. So I highly recommend sampling it. I opt for the 10 milliliter sizes because it gives me an opportunity to live with the scent before I commit to that full bottle. Also, these fragrances that he creates are very powerful. So when I do wear this, I only need 3 to 4 sprays and I'm good. Because not only are they very long lasting, but they project quite far off of the skin that I found, at least with my skin chemistry, it does. So I highly recommend and suggest checking out the house of Darren Allen Perfumes, especially this one here again. It's called Dorian's Fougere. The next most worn fragrance for the months of February and March into the office comes from the brand Roja Parfum, and this, of course, is Apex Parfum. what a fantastic fragrance this is. And, you know, it's no secret that I would love this because I did love the Eau de Parfum or the Parfum Cologne, whatever they call it. I did love that fragrance. I love this just a bit more. Reason being is I find the citruses to come through much brighter. It is a thicker concentration, obviously, so we kind of would expect that, right? Also, the mossy tendencies are a bit more full as well, and I get more green. More of the greenness that was in the Parfum Cologne edition is found here. Just much more full and dense, and that's what I enjoy about this. It's still lightly smoky, but it's not as smoky, I find, at least in my experience wearing this fragrance, that it's not as smoky as the Parfum Cologne, and I like that because it does make it a bit more palatable for most. And even though I do love that fragrance, but also it makes for a much more approachable, office-friendly fragrance for me. Now, I know not everybody has the same taste as I do when it comes to the office, and if you got your nose on this, you may not think that it would be appropriate or approachable for the office. Maybe you are just used to wearing sort of kind of fresh fragrances into the office. Me, I don't really necessarily mind what I wear into the office as long as I think or assume that others will enjoy it. And that is exactly the feedback that I did get from my colleagues. So I have no issues wearing this one into the office. I do also enjoy it casually, but for the sake and purposes of this video, I wanted to keep it on the office side because that is where I wore this fragrance the most. And I also want to add that it is a powerhouse. So when I do wear it to the office, I'm only going 2 sprays of this on my skin, and it lasts all day and then some. I get an easy 12 hours out of this. So again, this is Roja Parfum Apex Parfum. Last but not least, at least on the office side of things, comes to us from the underappreciated, undervalued brand of Diptyque, and this is called Eau de Menthe. Obviously, you guys could see I love my fougères, I love my chypres. You guys get the idea, the feel here. Now, I purchased this from a good friend of mine who's also a content creator. He's an OG, he's been doing this 10 years. You guys should know who I'm talking about already. That is Unaverage Joe. I love you, buddy. Shout out to you, and I hope that you are well. Guys, I'm going to leave Joe's information link down below for you because he granted me that permission. So definitely go through him for all your Diptyque needs because he will hook you the freak up. I'm telling you right now. But anyway, back to this fragrance here. So you can expect to smell things from Eau de Menthe. This is the Eau de Parfum concentration, if I didn't mention that already. But you can expect to find mint. So your mint here, it's in the name. The mint here is going to be on the more cool, fresh side. There is a cooling quality, I find, to it. So yeah, definitely you're going to find that here. Some patchouli, some geranium. The lavender here is going to be more on the soapy kind of barbershop side of things. There's also a hint of or touch of rose. I also get many other green components along with some spices here as well. So aromatic spices, I would assume. And then green, so I'm thinking oak moss, something kind of oak moss. At least I get an oak moss feel here. Beautiful, beautiful fougere fragrance that I absolutely love. I lived with a sample. I drained that sample in 3 days because I kept, doing test sprays on myself and things. So I contacted Joe and said, hey man, next time Diptyque is having a sale, let me know and I'll definitely grab a full bottle. And I did. I grabbed this one in Philosophicos Eau de Parfum. But this one is great, guys. Definitely check out Eau de Menthe. Now let's move over to the casual side of things. These are my most worn casual fragrances or date night fragrances. When it gets to the date night side, I will tell you that there. But this one, I wore in my leisure. I did wear it into the office, but mainly did wear it on casual days, and that is Cigar Oud, my favorite fragrance currently from the brand Primera Perfumes. So you guys have heard me talk about Primera a bunch. This fragrance is amazing. Now, Cigar Oud, kind of a misleading name because you would think a very dark, you may be thinking like something like Couté from Unique Luxury. Not the case here. This is actually a very fresh fragrance, believe it or not. So you have 2 different types of tobacco in here. You have cigar and a cigar, 2 different type of tobacco accords, I wanted to say there. So you have cigar. Now, the cigar kind of has like this humidor kind of aroma to it, while also having kind of this light wrapper. So the first thing that comes to mind when I think of a light cigar is like a Connecticut wrapper, The tobacco here is a little bit damp, a little bit on the moist side, but very palatable. You also have many different fresh floral ingredients here to kind of complement things. The oud here is very sweet and contrasted with this honey. The honey does not come across thick or syrupy at all. It just adds this nice kind of flow of sweetness to the composition, and you have many different varieties of citrus ingredients here as well. It is a beautiful, fresh tobacco / sweet oud fragrance that you must get your nose on. This is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece fragrance in my opinion. Again, this is Cigar Oud from Perfumes. The next fragrance that I'm going to be speaking about on the casual side of this list anyway is an iris lover's dream, and this is Idis Malacon. This comes from the brand Maison Crivelli. This is stunning. Now, I see this kind of split where I've seen it described one of two ways. Either it's considered or described as a gourmand iris or a leather iris. I kind of fall in the middle because this is a very complex iris fragrance, and I sampled this one. I believe it was in Saks that I sampled this back in December when I was in New York, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It was love at first sniff, and if I wasn't attending Scent Explorer, I probably would have purchased it then, but I actually purchased this from Perfumology. But anyway, so this fragrance is interesting because it utilizes orris butter. So if you're not familiar with orris butter has a tendency to give off a vegetal smell while also being earthy and root-like, have this kind of root, odor to it. And you smell all of that in here. And it's contrasted or complemented with vanilla. It's this creamy, silky vanilla. And you have the leather here, which is smooth. It's not an abrasive or rough sort of leather. It's a very smooth leather. It's a beautiful composition. It is one that does wear very thick and heavy. And it's one that I have to be in the mood for it. Now, I can wear fragrances, like iris fragrances, if we're speaking about iris fragrances. I can wear like Dior Homme Intense on a daily basis. And, fragrances like your Valentino Uomo Intense, maybe not a daily wear, but I can wear that more so than I could wear this. This calls for like a specific scenario and or occasion, for me at least. But man, I just fell in love with it when I first got it. I wanted to keep going to it and keep wearing it. And yeah, and it's a beastly performer too. I only need about 4 sprays of this, and it's just a magnificent, beautiful aroma. And yes, people will definitely ask you, because of its uniqueness, people will ask you what you were wearing because it's an uncommon smell, at least for me, where I live. We're definitely not, smelling fragrances like this out in the out and about. So a great fragrance nevertheless. And if you're an iris lover, you have to get your nose on Idis or Iris Malacon from Maison Crivelli. The next fragrance here comes from the brand Narcotica. This is Narcotica's Doza Amber Intense. What a phenomenal sweet amber fragrance this is. The sweetness here kind of reminds me of sugar cubes. If you guys remember, maybe, it's like when I was a child, my grandmother used to have this, the sugar cubes came in this brown bag, and I used to love going in the cabinet and taking a whiff of that brown bag and just smelling those crystallized sugar cubes. Something about it, I just love the smell. And I get that here. I know it's not a credited note, but hey, that's just what I'm smelling, And maybe it's my scent memory being triggered to that reminds me of those sugar cubes. But in addition to that, you have sweetness coming from black currant in the top. As that fades, you notice the smoke kind of comes through from incense. And you're also met with the sweet amber accord in here. You have a contrasting note of Texas cedar as well. But the sweet amber is beautiful because not only is it sweet, but it's also a little bit resinous. So if you are familiar and you consider your holy grails like I do to be, well, at least in the amber genre, Ambre Sultan from, oh God, I'm blanking on the brand. Ambre Sultan from Serge Lutens. Thank you. There we go. And Grand Soir from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. You will absolutely love this because I think, at least in my opinion, that this does deserve to be in that league, that top tier amber league. I think this definitely fits. Don't take my word for it. There's an affiliate discount code link down in my description below. You could take advantage of that. It works on full bottles at Dior Prestige. It also works on samples as well. So sample this one, use the code, don't use the code, you're not pressured in any way, shape, form, fashion, or another. Just a great way for you to save some money and get yourself a sample of this before committing to an expensive full bottle of Doza Amber Intense. A great one, guys. Check it out. Man, oh man, chocolate does make me happy, and so does this fragrance from Unique Luxury. This is, of course, Chocolate Makes Me Happy. I love this fragrance. Look at that dent that I've put in it in the past 2 months. Isn't that crazy? I've just been spraying on this and loving it and enjoying it. Mainly a date night fragrance, as well as Doza, I forgot to mention. Doza Amber Intense I've worn on several date nights over the past couple of months. And this one as well. I love this fragrance so much because it's a gourmand, but yet it's a gourmand that you could wear year round. And I know sometimes it can get a little bit frustrating because as a gourmand lover, maybe you guys can understand where I'm coming from. It's a little frustrating that we have to wait for a particular season to approach before we could pull out our favorite gourmands. Not the case here. This one is one you can pull off year round, in my opinion. Maybe not so much in the extreme heat. Maybe more so when it gets to those hot days, excruciatingly hot days of summer. Maybe pull it out in a date night scenario, you know, on an evening out, for sure in the summer. But you can easily pull this off in spring days as well. Fall and winter, of course, but you have bright citruses here like, what is there? Grapefruit and mandarin. The dark chocolate, obviously. This beautiful creamy note of lavender, which makes the overall composition very unique. You have some woods that come into play on the dry down. Fantastic, well-performing stuff. One that you guys definitely need to get your nose on, especially if you are a gourmand lover. And maybe perhaps you love a fragrance like Symphonium or even Wicked Good by Gallagher Fragrances. Symphonium by Zaharoff or Wicked Good by Gallagher Fragrances. If you love those two chocolate fragrances, get your nose on Unique Luxury's Chocolate Makes Me Happy. The last fragrance that I'm going to be talking to you about is a stunning, dark, and mysterious composition that is beautifully unique, and I absolutely love this. It was a love at first sniff for me from the brand Black Cliff Perfumes. This one is called Limewood. Now, don't be, you know, it could be deceiving. You think, oh, Lime and Woods, that seems like a great fragrance. I'm just going to buy it. You need to sample it before you buy it. Trust me, it's a very unique fragrance. This is not going to be for everybody. It is not going to be for the faint at heart. This, when it dries down fully, there is going to be like this tarry birch sort of smell that's going on again in the dry down. Up front, yes, you're greeted with lime, a very bright, zesty, energizing sort of lime in combination with some lemongrass. So it starts off very bright and zesty. But as I said, when this fragrance starts to dry down, you know, you get into that wear a half hour, 40 minutes to an hour in, you're like, whoa, where did this come from? It's dark, it's smoky, it's earthy, it's woody. And there's so many different changes that go on throughout the entire wear of the fragrance that just, I don't know, it just captivated me so much that I needed to buy a full bottle. And I did, again, from Perfumology. This and Idis Malacon actually came in the same on the same day. I ordered them together. Just a beautiful composition, perfumed by one of my very good friends, Justin Frederico. Fantastic nose, fantastic perfumer, an even better friend. I really, truly, genuinely really like the guy. But yeah, definitely, guys, if you're looking for a unique, fresh, woody, earthy, dark, mysterious fragrance all wrapped into one, check out Black Cliff Perfumes Limewood. That concludes today's episode, guys. I hope you really enjoyed the video. I do want to continue doing these most worn videos or episodes, if you will, for you guys. If you have any suggestions, maybe you want me to do something a little bit different with this most worn video, if you want themes, whatever kind of feedback you guys can give me, do that in the comment section below. I greatly appreciate that in advance. And if you're new here and you took anything away from today's episode, please do me a favor. Well, everybody, throw up that like. It definitely helps out with visibility amongst this platform. Don't forget to subscribe to the video and share this out. If you think people would enjoy the kind of content and style that I bring to the YouTube platform, share it out with some other people. And of course, guys, love yourselves first. Respect everyone. I love you guys. I'll see you very soon. Take care. Peace.